What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is the King and I Life podcast, hosted by myself, Soul Toucher the Poet, and my brother, Son Soul X, in his joint. Check it out. Hit us up, www.kingandilife.com, for all our podcast info. Subscribe to whatever podcast platform that you choose. Also, hit us up, KINGANDEYE369@gmail.com. Email us your suggestions, your feedback, and all that good stuff. Tune in to us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share, because we are all over all those social media platforms. Stay tuned for the good stuff. Yeah, we out. You send your army in, you send your Navy, you have your Air Force going, and you're doing all of this stuff, which technically, by all experts' accounts or whatever the case may be, this, and by Russians' estimates, this should have been done in 2 weeks at the most. So if you go in with a piss poor plan, you're going to have piss poor results.
I get what you're saying. I'm not disregarding what you're saying. But my thing is this, right? No one with a free-thinking mind would attack a whole nother country without having some course of action planned.
Do you really think that?
Hell yeah. I mean, think about this now. If what they're saying is, if Russia truly wanted to, it could drop chemical warfare. It could drop who knows how many bombs and so on and so forth. And they could have been supposedly over with this whole thing in a week if they wanted to. But they're not, is what we're getting. So again, I just think that there's a bigger plan. There's certain steps that they're following in order to reach their end goal.
What steps are those when they're retreating?
So we're being told they're retreating. We don't know.
We're being shown that they're retreating. Everything is not a conspiracy. Everything is not a conspiracy.
Okay.
We don't have to agree or believe everything that's in the news. But at the end of the day, if you're a bully and you're going to bully someone, and the person that you're bullying has friends that are helping indirectly, that's going to slow you down. That's going to make you rethink stuff. That's going to piss you off. It's going to frustrate you. You're going to have to change your strategy. You're going to have to do a lot of things. You're going to have to regroup. So if you had a plan, well thought out or not, you still do not know what's going to happen when you put your feet on the ground. That's happened in every war that has occurred throughout history. You never know what's going to happen when you sit your ass in that goddamn battlefield, period.
Okay.
So again, I've seen it firsthand.
Is this?
Huh?
How we were told, you know what, I'm not even going to make that comparison. But my thing is this, right? Again, if Ukraine is doing so well against obviously a larger army, if they're saying that Russia is retreating, I just don't see, based off the numbers, how that adds up.
You have the United States helping. You have Poland helping. You have Italy helping. You have Germany helping. You have NATO helping Ukraine. We're not putting troops on the ground, but we're giving them the money and the equipment that they need, so to speak, to help assist with holding the Russians back. Nobody is saying that the Ukraine is doing well. Nobody is saying that. Nobody is saying that. They struggling over there. They're begging for help every day, every day, every day. The problem is you have not only do you have the Ukrainian military, you have civilians over there saying, forget that. Y'all not coming in here like that. Yes, they're getting killed. But at the end of the day, if you look at the size of Russia's army, if you look at what they have, this should have been over in about a week or two. A week or two. But look at it like this. No country in modern times goes in and just mops the floor with anybody. That's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. In modern times, it's unrealistic.
Agreed. So, comparison to the U.S. being involved in wars, how do we even compare this?
How would I compare it? Because I know for some this could be touchy. For one, I would say we don't go in and start a war with someone to prevent them from practicing their own type of government, so to speak. We don't go in and force anyone to do what we want them to do, so to speak. Now, yes, there's a lot of technical this, that, and the other that I'm not even going to get the hell into because that's a fucking rabbit hole that I don't even want to go into. But at the end of the day, and if you look at the modern wars that we've had in the last 30 years, we have not gone to war with someone to take over their country or make them do what we want them to do or stop them from joining whoever they want to join. That's how I would make the comparison.
The thing about this is, supposedly, we never outright started a war with someone to take over their country. But we have been in wars where we might not exactly have taken over their country, but we had a large part to do with the outcome of those situations.
That depends. What situations are you referring to?
Things that were going over in the Middle East. I mean, pretty much every president except for Obama ordered some type of U.S. strike.
Well,
everyone, including, as far as I can remember, Reagan. Every president since Reagan, except for Obama, and I don't know, did Trump order a U.S. strike on anyone?
No, he's too busy kissing ass.
Okay, so 2 U.S. presidents. But just to wrap it up, wars are some say they're a necessary thing, but like the last situation we had with, what's the name of that country that we just pulled out of not too long ago?
Afghanistan.
Yeah, so we did all of that just to give it right back. Think about all the countless of lives that were lost on every side of that situation to only give it back at the end of the day. My point being is, in comparison, no war is ever, I mean, like, what's the fucking point? Like, we did all of that and then gave it back at the end of the day. What kind of sense did that make?
See, that's that rabbit hole I ain't want to get into.
I'm just saying, though, what kind of sense do that make in comparison?
That's
It's
that
kind
rabbit
of
hole
like,
I ain't want to get into.
let's storm the mountaintop or the hill, and then once you get there to the top, like, okay, we can go home now.
Mm. Yeah, that's that rabbit hole I ain't want to get into because if you look at it like that, you have to look at the reasoning behind going in, the reason for being there for whatever period of time, and the reasoning for coming out of it. We've been in Afghanistan for what, 20 years? I mean, what's the point of staying over there? Um, Part of the reason of staying over there was to prevent those the Taliban from taking over and doing whatever the hell they doing. But at the end of the day, it's not our responsibility. But again, when you talk about Afghanistan, again, that's a rabbit hole that would take us off of the way off of this topic. If you try to break everything that we've been into and compare it to what's going on now, that would take us way off this topic. So for me, the easiest way to look at it is we don't go in to take over a person's country because we want them to do what we want them to do. That's not something that we do. That's what Russia is doing. Russia does not want them to have their democratic type of government. Russia does not want them to join NATO where they will have help in this, that, and the other. We don't do that to people. That's the biggest comparison right there.
Okay, so just to get more history on the subject of how many wars we've been in, and then you can find this on infoplease.com. So, 1950 to 1953, the Korean War. 1961, Cuba. 1961 to 1973, the Vietnam War. 1965, the Dominican Republic. U.S. President Lyndon Johnson sends Marines and troops to quash a leftist uprising. He fears the Dominican Republic might follow the footsteps of Cuba and turn communist. 1982, Libya. 1983, Grenada. 1989, Panama. 1991, Gulf War, Kuwait and Iraq. 1993, Somalia. 1994, Haiti. 1994 to 1995, Bosnia. 1999, Kosovo. 2001, present, Afghanistan. 2003 to 2010, Iraq War. 2011, Libya. 2012 to 2019, war with ISIL. And 2017 to present, Syria. So we've been involved in quite a few things. If you want to read more about those situations, again, you can find that info or information on infoplease.com. But what I'm saying is we've been in quite a few, I can't say direct wars, but we've been involved in some shit, man.
That number
And
that them stats it just gave is minor. Um, as of 2020, out of the U.S. have been at war 225 years out of 243 years. So damn near the whole time that this landmass that we have been on has existed, we've been at war with someone. But again, that's a rabbit hole I don't even want to go down because that'll take us way off this topic. Way off.
Agreed. So this has been described as the largest attack in Europe since World War II.
Yep.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, because if you look at it, World War II, that was Russia, Germany, France, Great Britain, well, yeah, Russia, the USSR, and all its countries that it was. Again, Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, us. Yeah, you ain't had no no type of conflicts or nothing like that of this magnitude since then, and that's been a long time.
No, I can't remember any.
But then when you look at it, then you honestly, when you look at it, and the reasonings that we are being told about it, it's a bunch of BS. At the end of the day, dude, are you serious? Like, y'all been going back and forth since 2014, and because you got a wild hair up your ass, you want to attack them? You want to kill civilians? You want to kill kids, women? Like, come on, that don't make no sense to me.
None. But again, war is an ugly business, and for whatever reason, they decided to partake in it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So,
foreign NATO support to Ukraine. You said there's a lot of support going for Ukraine.
yep.
Again,
Go ahead.
the countries that are attached to NATO, if you attack one, you attack us all.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point, or do you think there will be a point where other countries will start placing troops on the ground?
Honestly, the only only thing I could say is if Russia decides to use chemical or nuclear weapons, I think that's when, if that happens, I think that's probably when other countries will really step in and start doing something. Um, I don't, as far as I know, Ukraine doesn't have, well, back up a little bit. Every country has signed a treaty not to use chemical or nuclear weapons. Do small individuals or whatever from whatever country use chemical weapons against other people? Yes, they do. They have done it several times over the past 10, 15 years. But for a military force to do that, that will probably open up that can of worms that would would be devastating to the world.
Um, I kind of I see what you're saying, but here's my thing, right? If what they're saying is Ukraine is a part of NATO,
They're not a part of NATO.
so they're not a part of NATO.
No, they're not. They're trying to be a part of NATO. That's
Mm,
that's the that's one of the main reasons why Putin decided to do what he did. They're trying to be a part of NATO.
okay, so because they're not a part of NATO, this is why they're not going forth with more measures besides sending supplies, and
Exactly.
that's a question.
Exactly. If Ukraine was a part of NATO and Putin started attacking Ukraine, NATO would go in and it'll be World War III.
Hmm. So basically, what it comes down to, if I'm understanding it correctly, is because they're not using chemical warfare or weapons, that's why NATO hasn't stepped in to do more than what they're doing.
I do not know. Okay, so from what I'm understanding from reporting is that NATO countries, us included, are not going to step in because it's not one, it's not a NATO issue. Two, I'm going to assume because they have not used chemical or nuclear weapons. But because it's not a NATO issue, they have not stepped in. Now, we, us, regular Joe Smo civilians, can sit back and be like, well, goddamn, when Saddam Hussein attacked Kuwait, we jumped our ass in, right?
True.
We can also say, way, way back in the day, when Russia attacked Iran, we hopped our ass in, right?
Yeah, we did.
We could say a whole bunch of things. But today we can't sit there and look at this situation. Well, we can look at this situation and be like, well, damn, if NATO hopped their ass into Kuwait when Iraq was attacking them, and NATO hopped their ass into Iran when Russia was attacking them, what's the difference? I don't have the answer. I just don't.
So it's kind of like your big brother giving a little brother an asshole.
Pretty much.
And NATO being the parent hasn't stepped in to say, okay, that's enough. You're
That's
rooting for the little
that's
brother. That's basically what they're doing. We're rooting for the little brother.
that's pretty much what it is. And another thing that I think, okay, so let me go back to another thing that I think a part of the problem is.
All right.
Russia is a part of OPEC, and OPEC is this group of countries that sell oil back and forth and fossil fuels and stuff back and forth with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that could be another part of the issue right there. And also, from what I've been hearing on the news and stuff, is that they don't want to provoke Putin to use nuclear or chemical weapons, which to me, I think that's crazy. It's like, I mean, look what they're doing to these people. Look what Big Brother's doing to Little Brother. And it's like it's a lot of this stuff that I sit back and be like, that's crazy.
I just feel like this, right? A loss of life for any reason when it comes down to war situations, I think that's the most absurd ever. So let's say, for instance, everything that they're telling us is true to word as far as like the loss of life in Ukraine. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it's not. But let's say, for instance, it is. At what point, again, do you, as NATO, come together and say, we're going to stop this? Because when you have civilians, innocent civilians being killed, they're not soldiers. They didn't sign up for any warfare. Only thing they want to do is live. And I know that proper channels have to be followed. You know, it's the whole political thing. But again, when it's enough, enough. Like when Ukraine is completely and totally wiped out, that's when you come in and say, okay, we're here to help.
You know,
It's just a
I,
question.
I I can't begin to answer that because that's for me an outsider looking in. That's what it's looking like to me. I mean, you're gonna have you have Russia killing civilians, children, women, people who are just trying, like you said, they're just trying to live their life. Um, you have to look at the trauma that these people are going through. You have to look at them fleeing their homes, going into NATO countries for safety, and then let's just say one day Russia says, "All right, we're done. We're rolling up out of here." I highly doubt. I highly doubt, but I could be wrong. But I highly doubt Russia is going to spend any money to help rebuild that country. If the money that's going to be needed to rebuild that country is going to come from NATO countries, and I know we are going to be one of those countries. Um, for me, if I was in a place of influence or whatever the case may be, I don't know. I think that I would have to send. I think I would have to send. I would have to send at least the Navy or the Air Force over there to help. Um, as far as putting soldiers on the ground, I don't think I would go that far. But I would definitely send the Navy and the Air Force out because it's just ridiculous. I mean, looking at these apartment buildings and schools and hospitals that they just blew up. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, just to give you guys some figures here. This is whitehouse.gov. Again, that's whitehouse.gov. President Biden today announced an additional 800 million in security assistance to Ukraine, bringing the total U.S. security assistance committed to Ukraine to 1 billion. That's what it be. Billion would it be in just the past week, and a total of 2 billion since the start of the Biden administration. The assistance will take the form of direct transfers of equipment from the Department of Defense to the Ukraine military to help them defend their country against Russia's unprovoked and unjustified invasion. Now, with that being said, we're going to go with the 2 billion right now. That's how much we spent or in the process of spending so far.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once this whole thing is over or it comes to an end, how much are we going to spend then is the question. I'm sure the American taxpayers would like to know. And my thing is this: we're so let me choose my words wisely here. We're so gracious enough, if I can say that, to help out with this effort to help them defend themselves. How gracious will we be to help them rebuild? That's going to be the question. Again, the American taxpayers are going to be asking.
Mm.
But 2 billion is a lot, and I'm sure that's not going to be the end of it as far as helping them get through this situation.
Um, since 1985, the U.S. sends 3 billion